I call Cam Calder.
Mr Speaker, it is a pleasure and a privilege to stand and speak to the Gangs and Organised Crimes Bill, an omnibus bill which amends the Crimes Act 1961, the Sentencing Act 2002 and the Local Government Act 2002. Members of the House should be in no doubt that gangs and their activities are a blight on our country. Their activities are an evil miasma which overshadows all society, and despair and despond directly attributable to gang-related activities can insinuate itself at all levels. I take my honourable colleagues' comments to heart when they point out the complexity of the issue, because many gang members are not immediately recognisable as such. This bill is yet another example of this government keeping its promises. We are aware the problem is complex. We don't have a magic wand and we can't change things overnight. This is not a place for silo thinking, and we must reshape the mesh at many levels and in different areas. The initiatives contained in this bill are but the first stage of the government's response. This bill had its first reading in the first 100 days, fulfilling a pledge we made in the 2008 election. As I mentioned, the bill is an omnibus bill. It amends Section 98A of the Crimes Act 1961 to increase the penalty for participation in an organised criminal group from a maximum 5 years imprisonment up to 10 years imprisonment. The average prison sentence for this offence between 2004 and 2007 was 2 years, hardly adequate for the damage caused by the activities of many of those involved. It does not adequately reflect the culpability of those gang leaders who organise such serious criminal activity as methamphetamine manufacturing and distribution without perhaps directly offending themselves, but engaging in promoting activity which has blighted and continues to blight thousands of lives. The other side of the issue is the rate of successful convictions for participation in criminal organisation under Section 98, which has historically been very slow. The rate of successful convictions has been very slow, and the number of prosecutions has been very low. From 2004 to 2007, there were only 339 prosecutions and only 19 convictions, Mr Speaker. How many is that? 19, a total of 5%. There are a number of reasons for this. The first is the complexity of this provision. The second reason is the high evidential burden placed on the prosecution to prove the offence. The bill draws on case law to clarify the evidential requirements under that section, which should ease the burden placed on the Crown to prove that an accused participates in an organised criminal group. It is intended to result in more successful prosecution for participation without criminalising mere association, an extremely difficult thing to legislate for. The bill also requires the sentencing judge to take into account any offending that is committed due to involvement with such a group as specific aggravating factor at sentencing. Combined with the doubling of the penalty under Section 98 and changes to the legal threshold, this amendment to the Sentencing Act should increase the penalties handed down to gangs. This bill is not limited to the punishment of gang members. It also provides police with tools to apprehend those who commit organised crime or are planning to commit organised crime. The bill expands in two ways on the ability of police to undertake surveillance of gang communications. The first is providing specific authority for the police to apply for an interception warrant to investigate the offence of participation in an organised criminal group. This in turn will disrupt organised criminal groups by capturing those who organise or facilitate illegal activity. The illegal activities attributed to gangs range across the spectrum of the mafias. There is no doubt, however, that production, distribution and sale of drugs is a prime financer of gang activity and a major source of revenue. Years of hurry up and wait inactivity and indolence by the previous unlamented, lackadaisical, lachrymose and Luddite Labour administration has seen the scourge of methamphetamine, or P as it is more commonly known, grow and grow. Police sources suggest that the vast majority of clandestine drug laboratories are inextricably linked to recognised criminal groups. The gangs, flushed with funds, pay vast sums to expert pea cooks who oversee preparation of their fiendish brew. The pea produced is sold, used to entice more acolytes or associates to join, and its subsequent use, often combined with alcohol, fuels much of the violent crime reported so often in our media. Mr. Speaker, a daily diet of wormwood and gall, which this government finds unacceptable and is committed to improving. Secondly, the bill lowers the general threshold for those offences that can be used as the basis for interception warrants, from those attracting at least 10 years in prison to those attracting 7 years in prison or more. This means that the police will be able to obtain interception warrants for a wider range of offences, such as car conversion, not normally regarded as a serious offence in the real gamut of things, but you can see that it allows them to intercede before the more serious offence may occur. And it sends a message to gangs that the net on their criminal the net on their criminal activities is widening. This should enhance the prospects of successful prosecutions under Section 98 of the Crimes Act. The bill also provides that a removal order may be sought from a district court in order to remove intimidating structures such as gang forts. For years, fortified gang premises have concealed potential offending. The law currently allows the police or territorial authorities to seek out court authorisation to remove these structures under the Local Government Act if they are connected to criminal activity or intended to cause injury. The previous government rejected law changes that would make it easier for the police to destroy gang fortification, arguing that the current law appears sufficiently broad, yet it could not say how many gang forts had been stormed. And strangely, in 2007, the law was removed as a key operational practice from the police statement of intent. As the august organ private eye may well have observed if reporting this, surely some mistake Ed. Mr. Speaker, in 2008 I had the privilege of campaigning for 7 months in the vibrant and diverse electorate of Manurewa. The majority of people of this community are hardworking and ambitious for themselves and their children. Sadly, there are some, particularly among the younger residents, who lack a sense of purpose and a feeling of belonging. It is these young people who the gangs are targeting and regrettably find a fertile source for new apprentices in crime. Not surprisingly, it was clear to me last year as a result that the wider Manurewa community was lacking that fundamental right that any government should offer its citizens. That is, the right to live with a sense of security. Mr. Speaker, this government finds that situation completely unacceptable. Completely unacceptable. We are addressing it at a number of levels. And already more than 60 new sworn police have been assigned to the area, the first tranche in a promised 300. Addressing the problem at other levels, 3 new early childhood centres will be built in the area, and local uptake of our home insulation plan to improve the health of the general community has been good. Returning to our Gangs and Organised Crime Bill initiative, in combating this problem, we will endeavour to improve the security and feeling of security in the community through this initiative as well. The government argues that gang forts are not only a threat to public safety because they potentially cloak illegal activity, but also their very presence is threatening and makes a neighbourhood feel less safe. Amendments to the Local Government Act 2002 as part of our proposed Gangs and Organised Crime Bill will therefore give additional powers to have those structures removed, and with it the intimidation they represent. Mr. Speaker, this bill is yet another example of how this government's principled, pragmatic and inclusive manner is listening to New Zealanders and working on their behalf. Thank you.
I call the Honourable